Good morning, everyone, members of the press and the media. Thanks again for coming in on the weekend. But we do have a desperate plea and it's urgent. So that's why we set this up this morning. I'm Evelyn from the PPK Secretariat, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you today the speakers for our press conference. I have 6 associations here. PPK Malaysia, the Shopping Malls Association, is headed by the president, our Tan Sri Teo Chiang Kok. We have MRA, Malaysia Retailers Association, with Mr. B.E. Law, who's the alternate to the president, Tan Sri Datuk Sri Utama William Cheng. MRCA, Malaysia Retailer Chain Association, Miss Shirley Tay, who's the president. And we have BRO, Bumiputra Retailers Organisation, Datuk Wira Haji Dr. Amir Ali Maidin, President. We have also Datuk Hisham Osman, the Chairman of MRMA, Malaysia REIT Managers Association. And last but not least, Tan Sri Datuk Richard Koh, President of MAFTA. Second, everybody, it's ready. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. And I will continue with the next slide, whereby I will introduce our speaker, Tan Sri Teo Chiang Kok, and invite him to please present what we have to say to the press. Tan Sri, if you are ready.
Thank you, Evelyn. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you very much again for coming to our press conference. Sorry to impose you on a Saturday, but it just shows that how urgent the situation is, or how dramatic the situation is that we have to talk to you all today. I think to start the press conference, I think the environment is such. Now, WHO has said that lockdown is not the solution. It causes more damage to the economy and livelihoods than it solves the pandemic. I think that's one good point to take note. The other point is that we have to accept that COVID will be endemic. It will be with us forever, just like the common flu. And the solution, the final solution, is to get the vaccination done and vaccinate 80% of our population to create herd immunity. And the other point is that we have gone through so many phases of MCO. MCO tries to flatten the curve, use it as a temporary measure to try and flatten the curve. But I think you would agree with me that the result is not what it was expected to be. I don't think the MCO had done any good to date. So this is the kind of environment we are in right now. So based on that, I think the most important part we would like to express today is that it is really, really dire necessary that vaccination be accelerated and that we should vaccinate our population to reach herd immunity as soon as possible. So we are actually very happy from the news on the 30th of June that 17.7% of our population are already vaccinated with the first dose, and that 7.1% have got 2 doses. And the good news is, at 17.7%, it's already 70% efficacy has been achieved. So we truly appreciate and are relieved that our government is now accelerating and trying to achieve more than 10% of the population to be vaccinated with 2 doses by the middle of 2021, of July 2021, which is less than 2 weeks away. So I think is a time period we can be prepared to suffer through, and we are really hoping that that target of 10% of the population to be vaccinated will be achieved. Okay. Therefore, based on the criteria that 10% of population will be vaccinated, we are really desperately appealing that to allow all the malls, all the retail outlets to reopen by 15th of July, or when 10% of the vaccination target is achieved, whichever is earlier. We believe the great strides we have made the last 10 days on the number of people getting vaccinated. The good news of 10 million vaccines are coming in, plus 2 more additional ones, 2 more millions coming in this July. So if we implement the vaccination process, inoculations, process as efficiently as we receive the vaccine, I think achieving 10% or more than 10% of the population is very achievable before 15th of July. So we are really looking forward to that target. Next, please, Evelyn. So we are now in EMCO for Selangor and part of KL. So the first point we would like to make is we have been saying that using a sledgehammer to lock down the whole nation is far too excessive, not necessary. It is better to identify localities and suburbs that need to be locked down. And we are glad to note that for KL, in the EMCO, they are locking down by buildings, which is what we are saying is the right thing to do. But we don't understand at all. We don't understand at all why, for the state of Selangor, they are locking down by districts and locking down so many districts that practically the whole of Selangor state is locked down. So we do not understand the rationale between the two dichotomy way of approach. KL, you can lock down by buildings. Why can't in Selangor, please also lock down by locality or by buildings? Why go through the whole state and through all the districts? So that is a question we are a bit apprehensive, and we are very saddened that it is done that way. So from going forward, we hope that let's determine by up to the locality level, up to building level, to do lockdown, and not to continue this practice of widespread lockdown by district or by state. Is too damaging and absolutely unnecessary. So what is happening is that those economic sectors, I'm very proud to say the shopping center and the retail industry, we have diligently operated under strict SOP. We have achieved very low infection rates. And instead of being encouraged as good examples of operations that are really achieving low infections, we are being punished. We don't understand that. And the lockdown is due to other sectors, other operations, other activities that have high incidence of infectivity. Therefore, having one sweep of locking down the whole district actually penalizes people who behave and people who earnestly take care to make sure the SOP is abide by, taking care that we are doing our part to flatten the curve, and yet we are punished in the same brush as the others who are lackadaisical in their approach. So we are hoping that going forward, please encourage people like us who are diligently meeting the SOPs, encourage us, reward us, let us open. Whereas those who flout the SOP, who do not take care, if you punish them, for that, I don't think anybody comes over it, right? So from now on, we hope that we can really do precision, in-depth analysis of data, and really take the view that only buildings or clusters in buildings or in a specific locality be given more stringent SOPs or lockdowns even. So this is the hope we hope going forward would be the way the government is going to tackle this issue. Otherwise, it is unnecessary damaging a lot of businesses and damaging the economy quite unnecessarily. Okay. So we are also a bit frustrated and hurt because MOH own figures, MOH own figures in May 2021 shows that the shopping mall and the retail sector, including shopping areas outside malls, including shopping centers outside malls, standalone shops, shop houses, the mom and pop shop, they only contribute 0.8% of the cases. Why are we so severely punished by being told to close business, even though we have achieved such remarkable results? And it is punishing us and not rewarding us. How did we achieve this nice 0.8% figure when the previous figure also was very low, 4.8% in April? Because we only admit all our staff and we admit only all our shoppers who has low risk status in their MySejahtera. We are very firm on that. If your MySejahtera show that you are not low risk, we rather not have your business. That sounds a bit naughty. We rather that you not be admitted lah. And we make sure that they wear their masks. We make sure that their temperature is below 37.5. So we manage to now say that when you come to a shopping mall or you come to our shops, you already have been cleared, and we are now actually within a green bubble. When you come to a shopping mall, you are in a green bubble because you are all the people in there are qualified as low risk, and it's one of the safest place to be now. The other thing which we are saying that the vaccination should be expedited for our frontliners. That means our staff, our cashier, our sales girls, our sales people, and our people the staff that run the malls. Why? Because they are our frontline, extreme frontliners, we call it. Why? Because we deal with waves and waves of shoppers that come in. It's not like a factory or an office where you only work with your own co-workers, the same set of co-workers. Ours is the population is coming in waves, and therefore they are extreme frontliners. And I think special attention to be given that we get our vaccination as soon as possible. Okay, but the good thing about our frontliners is that we interact with shoppers on a transient basis only. Most of the time, we don't spend more than 15 minutes with our shoppers at the cashier counter or at people asking information about your products. Therefore, this 15 minutes is the threshold for safe interaction, so that there's no transmission of COVID, especially when the frontliners and the shoppers are both wearing masks. So this is the threshold, and most of the interaction, we are in a very safe interaction kind of mode for that. Okay. So based on the above evidence that we only allow shoppers in with their low risk, our staffs are all low risk, we are in a green bubble within our mall, and that's the interaction period is only 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes. We are actually a very safe environment to be in. Okay. Okay, that is the part about immunity, EMCO. So our next item which we want to talk about is that the shopping mall industry has estate value of more than 145 billion as of December 2020. It's a very, very big industry. Very much 145 billion is invested in this industry, only in the hardware, right? And the retail industry, the transactions and other things, we contribute almost 35% of the GDP, which is worth 497 billion a year. This is a very big industry, contributing 35% to the GDP of the country. So please treat us with care, because we are one of the key sectors that contribute to the economy of the country, and we are also a very big key industry to recover the country's economy post-pandemic. So we seem to be overlooked our big contribution to the industry, and I hope that our government, when they are making plans, doing policies, please take into account that this industry, the shopping mall industry and the retail industry, is indeed a very key industry that is part of our national economy. So, we hope that going forward, the government will take that factor into account in coming out with policies that do not hurt this industry, encourage us to recover as soon as possible. Okay. Otherwise, the way we are being asked to close and open and close and all the restrictions, we are very worried that if we do not reopen immediately, a lot of our operators will close shop permanently. And some consequence to that, some up to 500,000 people who work in our industry will have to be laid off. So it is not a small issue to really pay attention to when the government going forward design the restrictions or the policies or the SOPs that encourages people, industries that are low risk, and penalize only those that are high risk, and not one sledgehammer policy that indiscriminately hurt everybody at the same time. Okay. I have said in our beginning that the WHO have now recognized that lockdown is not is a very damaging option for our economy. So be very judicious going forward about locking down directives. Okay. Also, experience have shown over the last 1.5 years worldwide that lockdown do not solve the COVID pandemic problem, because of the mutation, and the only way to control it is to achieve vaccination up to herd immunity level. So lockdown is economically damaging, but it's not solving the problem. Okay, and I think the new approach is that we accept that it is endemic, and now is to live with it and to immunize against it. And that's a way to do like what we have done for so many other pandemics, like the cold, the common cold to the flu, the kind of thing. So I've said about the possibility of 500,000 people being let off if we do not recover fast enough. Okay, and the other problem is that Malaysia, we have to reckon, is a small market compared even to Southeast Asia, and most of us try very hard to bring in international brands to our shopping industry. Why? Because it complements the tourism drive we have, and tourism is the second largest economy contributor to our economy. So we need to provide a shopping environment where there is enough international brands to make it attractive for tourists to come and make shopping a major part of the activity when they are in Malaysia. We are a small population, and it is already an uphill task trying to entice foreign brands to come to Malaysia. Once they come, we have to try our very best to retain them. So this lockdown and all those MCOs has been very hurtful to this international brand, and we are very fearful that once they leave our shores, it'll be 10 times harder to get them back. So it is also for the future of tourism, for the future of having enough international brand to become a shopping avenue for international tourists, that we must look at reopening all our shops as soon as possible. Okay. Well, it has been said so many times that over the 16 months, most of our shopping centers, operators, and our retailers are really struggling and doing their utmost best to survive and pull through. They are willing even to use all their savings and all their previous reserves to come and save their business. But after 16 months, most of us have exhausted our fat. Most of us have exhausted our savings, and we are in a very precarious situation right now. But we will not give up. We will not give up, but we really need the government to complement our efforts, to not lock us down without the correct basis for. We do not understand. We do not think that we deserve to be locked down. Okay, so we hope that the government, going forward by 15th of July or earlier, when we reach the 10% vaccination threshold, all our shops, all our businesses in the retail sector will be reopened. Of course, we understand there are some activities that cause crowding. They are not possible to comply with social distancing. Those we understand may not be able to be allowed to open, and we have to accept that. But all other activities, all other shops, all other retails should be open, including all the shops in shopping areas outside the malls, because they have been demonstrated that they are not cluster forming, and including most of our shopping malls have indoor playground, family entertainment attractions. All this should be open because we can comply. We can comply with the SOP, we can comply with social distancing, and we know how to manage it to meet all the SOPs. Okay. Next chart just shows the impact. The next chart shows the impact of the various MCO and how detrimental and how drastic things can change. When look at July and August, we were recovering so well. We were getting shops opening at about 90% rate. Footfalls are coming back at 75%. And yet, when you do a lockdown, even before the lockdown, the enhanced MCOs, you can see that the footfall dropped so drastically. Immediately in October, November, you can see that footfall dropped from 70% to 35% overnight. Why? Because our people have been shocked by the announcements. The people are also now very conscious about that to come only to the mall for necessities. So that's why the people are also now well educated, well conscious, well know the knowledge that they should not linger, they should not crowd around, they should social distance. So they are really well aware how to behave when they come to a shopping center or go out shopping. So if you look at June, the number of shops open is less than 10%. And the number of people coming to the mall is less than 5%. It's actually not worth opening. But we persevere. We have to open because we have to open for all the essential services, the pharmacies, the supermarkets, the F&B for takeaways. And for shopping mall, it is not worthwhile to open because it costs so much to run the shopping mall just to serve the less than 10% shops. But we open because we are essential service per se. The shopping mall is an essential service per se. And we also want to encourage that tenants, the F&B tenants also open. It is not worthwhile for them to open either because takeaway constitute 10 at most 20% of their turnover without dining in. So actually it's not worth for them to open in many circumstances, but they also persevere because they know that they are with loyal customers to serve and they have to persevere with that. So this is basically the end of my press statement for today. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Wira, Dr. Amir, President of Bumiputra Retail Organization, to say a few words to complement what I have said. Thank you. Dr. Amir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tan Sri. I think I just want to add, basically, Tan Sri has articulated all the salient points which I think all retailers are asking for. Only one extra, if I may just add or amplify, is number one, is that Tan Sri mentioned about the first dose. See, the first dose already got 17.7%, and I assume by 15th of July, we probably go to 22%. Actually, 22% first dose is actually a very good number. Okay, and as Tan Sri mentioned, the efficacy rate for first dose is also 70%. So many places, what they do is they open up using the first dose number. So our humble suggestion is that instead of using the second dose numbers, why don't we use the first dose number? Because if the efficiency is 70% already, that could be a better criteria for us to look at instead of waiting until end of the year to get that so-called 80% to get the herd immunity. That's my first point. The second point, of course, as Tan Sri mentioned, we are actually very disappointed. Although we were the first to say that please vaccinate our frontliners because we also contribute 35% of the GDP. A lot of the vaccines have been given to other priority sector. To us, fair enough, manufacturing contributes a fair size to our GDP, but we could have always, frankly, locked down the whole manufacturing area because they are at certain areas only. There are only certain areas. You go to Shah Alam or you go to certain areas where the factories are, that's where they are. I mean, they live in that closed environment. We could do an EMCO for manufacturing and let them manufacture while focusing on the retail when you have limited number of vaccines. I think there is somewhere, I think the government could have miscalculated somehow, maybe the pressure from the multinationals because they are big voices out internationally. So we feel that we want to be seen to be able to have our export market open. Even now with the EMCO in Selangor, we have noticed, of course, a lot of MNCs are making a lot of noise because they also, fair enough, it's not money here. I think we must be very clear. We are not asking to open up, and neither are the manufacturers asking to open up because they want to make money necessarily. For us retailers, it's primarily survival mode. For the manufacturers, because basically they are in the supply chain, And one supply chain cuts off, the whole world get affected, and so are the retailers affected. That is another thing. One more thing, if possible, is that Tan Sri mentioned that first, there were 500,000 people to be retrenched. First, to note that 200,000 have already been retrenched. Okay, and what Tan Sri trying to say, I'm very sure, is that as you go on another month, our members have said they'll probably let go another 300,000, giving to 500,000. But remember, it's not 500,000, 500,000 are the people in retail. I mean, working in Maidin, working in Sogo, working in PPKM, at the shopping centers. Don't forget the whole supply chain, the numbers, right? Because the people, the so-called lorry drivers that deliver, they manufacture for us, they deliver so that we sell. So that number, when you add up, I mean, I know my suppliers, half of them already now closed. So that number will also, if you open, then they will also open, because there's a supply chain issue here. So I think this whole thing about closing off and doing this EMCO, MCO, I'm sure the government intentions are all noble. We all also agree that drastic action must be taken. I think the only issue we have basically, I don't think all of us are disagreeing on the EMCO. So very important that press don't get it wrong. We all agree we need the EMCO. We all agree about all this. But the main thing why we are saying is the way it's being done. Do a very surgical approach to the EMCOs, lock down where it's necessary, and let the others open up and survive, because that's the only way the country can move forward. We already see seriously what called white flags coming out for people who cannot feed themselves. We seriously don't want to see white flags coming out on the retail shop lot to say that we need help also, which we already do, but we don't want to come up with that kind of movement unnecessarily. But I think if this continues, you might be seeing flags all over the places, asking very desperate retailers asking for help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato' Amir. Now I'll ask Mr. B.E. Law of Malaysian Retailers Association to say a few words. Thank you.
Yeah, I just briefly want to touch a little bit on one point only. Right now, locking down the economy has failed to bring down the number of daily positive cases in the country. This is testament to the World Health Organization statement that lockdowns have no correlation to the daily number of positive cases. For the past 16 months, we have been in and out of lockdowns, but the results hasn't changed. Doing the same thing all over again and expecting a different result is just a dream. The economy is already in such a devastating state, with the Rakyat having no food on the table. Pets are left astray, and now the average daily number of suicide cases of between 3 to 4 is shocking the hell out of us. The reality is, COVID-19 will coexist with mankind. And the only honorable thing to do is to swab test, isolate, and expedite vaccination of the population. So please remove the lockdown and open up the economy or not before July 15. That's one point only. Thank you.
Thank you, B.E. Now, can I ask Ms. Shirley Tay, President of Malaysian Retail Chain Association, to express her opinion? Thank you.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Firstly, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all the media friends who take time off to attend today's press conference. And as a group, I wholeheartedly support, what have been said by my colleagues just now about the really very devastating situation that the retailers are facing right now. One thing I like to really point out to the press is that in MRCA recently we did a survey, and the survey is actually to study the business impact, arising from the various phases of movement controls since we started 6 months ago. We have actually facts to support what Tan Sri, Dato' Amil, and B.E. Loh was saying just now. Sales obviously have dropped drastically. You know, one thing I like to highlight is on workforce reduction. As what Tan Sri and Dato' Amil both were emphasizing on the reduction of workforce. I like to stress that in MRCA, you know, as a whole, 72% of our respondents actually recorded, you know, not only severe drop of sales, but they actually reduced 70% of their workforce. It is very alarming because a lot of people are losing their job. And you know, when people do not have job, right, it can actually cause a lot of social problems as well. And more than 51% of our respondents actually implemented wage reduction. You'll be surprised that the number may not be as high, is because a lot of members are probably very compassionate. They're taking out from their little cash flow that they have left to still try to maintain their staff force. But I don't think they can last long. And the other thing I want to also mention is that retailers are actually very much dependent on the number of branches and outlets they operate. And 55% of the respondents have actually closed down many of their branches and stores, as high as 6 and above in terms of numbers. And one thing also I like to mention is the cash flow. 97% of our respondents say that they cannot last more than 4 months, you know, and almost 40% out of this 97% say that they won't last beyond 3 months. It would mean that if we follow the National Recovery Plan, you know, where the full scale for operation will start by end of the year, I think many of our members will be gone by then. So last part I'd like to mention is, of course, on the outstanding rental commitment. The retailers are, you know, not as fortunate. Many of them do not have their own premises to operate in. They basically are renting. So they are actually in a very tough situation, as they are owing, you know, the landlords a lot of money. I know that some of my colleagues here, you know, are landlords and they are helping out wherever possible. I see Dato' Amir smiling. Dato' Amir is on both sides of the fence. But then, you know, they are really suffering. And you can imagine, even if the government allowed them to open, they will have very severe problems to handle. That will be, you know, to pay their staff, to bring them back, and then to pay the landlord, you know, the renters and all the ancillary expenses as well. So 16 months have passed since the pandemic. All of us are suffering. We are in a really bad, you know, situation, not only drowning, dying, but we're just hoping that, you know, as retailers, the government do not sideline us, okay? Treat us like frontliners, and how all my colleagues were saying, please open up the economy for us ASAP, and then speed up and ramp up the whole vaccination process. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, Shirley and Dr. Amir's point is right. We are in the dire straits at the moment. But the message is that we do not deserve to be in this dire strait, because we are not the cause of the cluster, and we have been so diligently behaving in our SOPs and all those things, and yet we get hammered. So the question is, we are in this dire strait for the wrong reason. We do not deserve to be in this position, and we hope that going forward the government will highlight this, will take into account this situation, that we should not be penalized for something that we have done well and not caused by us and caused by others. So this is the message we want to really put across. So, okay, now I'll call upon Dato' Hisham, the chairman of the Malaysian REIT Managers Association. You may ask why the Malaysian REIT Association is with us, because they own a lot of malls, and they actually are much bigger landlords than all of us are combined. To you, Dato' Hisham.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making time, especially our friends from the media. My name is Hisham. I am the chairman of MRMA. MRMA stands for Malaysian REIT Managers Association. The association comprises 17 listed REITs. okay, and 2 unlisted ones. REITs are real estate investment trusts, as you may know. Now, out of this total number of members in MRMA, there are 42 retail assets. That means we own and operate 42 shopping malls, basically, okay? And the retail asset under management is worth 30 billion ringgit. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with REITs and what are retail REITs, basically, I will just tell you a few big and famous malls who happen to be our members. People like Surya KLCC, Pavilion, Sunway Pyramid, Mid Valley Mega Mall, Subang Parade, but not just in KL, we are all over the country. For instance, Geni Plaza in Penang, Sunway Carnival in Penang, East Coast Mall in Kuantan, and many malls in Sungai Petani, Kule, Muas, Gamat, and malls like Makota Parade in Malacca. So what I'm telling you guys is that we are all over the country. We are in most cities and major towns. What that means is that we represent many people, many employees who depend on our retail malls and shops to be doing well for them to survive. Okay. Now, this morning and now afternoon, we stand together with the other retail associations in urging the government to reopen the retail sector now. And when I say now, as per the slide, that means on 15th July, which is the expected likely date when that threshold of 10% vaccination is achieved. Okay. Now, our stand is simple. We must save lives and save livelihoods, but we must do this together. Okay. We can no longer wait or we can no longer carry on with this concept of let's save lives first and then save livelihoods. No, because the reason is there is no need for us to do that. Because if you just do one after the other, when it comes the time for when you say, okay, now shops can reopen, there won't be any more shops left to open because they have actually been killed off a few months earlier. Now, this is no exaggeration. Now, I understand the importance of saving lives, of course, but what we're saying is that right now, you don't have to choose and do one after the other. Okay? Save lives, of course. We've been talking about vaccination all morning. Okay? But open up retail sector. Okay? At the same time, 15th July, or when you get to 10% vaccination. Okay? And you can do both together. So you save lives and you save a major part of the Malaysian economy at the same time. And let's not forget, let me tell you, in case you're thinking, some of you, or maybe the public out there, may be thinking, oh, we're trying to save the lives or the livelihoods of businesses of Taukes. No, that's not true, okay? REITs, for instance, the fact that they're public listed means that everyone owns units in there. Okay, the T20, the M40, okay, and like Dato' Amir had mentioned, maybe a million people or Malaysians involved directly. If indirectly, it's probably many millions more in the retail sector. And most of them are M40 and B40. So come on, why do we want to make life even more difficult when we have the chance to actually open up this very important sector of the economy, okay, while we roll out the vaccination. Okay, now we do not want to see people suffer unnecessarily. Okay, now bear in mind, we are not forcing anyone to come to the malls when we open. So don't get us wrong. Nobody's forcing anyone to go to the shops or to the malls. Now, if you don't feel safe because you haven't been fully vaccinated or you just want to be ultra safe, you can stay at home still, okay? But there are many people who might have been vaccinated and who feel safe to come to the malls and the shops. So they should be welcome. So at least there is still a chance to save the retailers, the shop owners, the people who work at the shops, the people who provide the service, the entire ecosystem, the entire value chain of the retail. So at least they stand a chance. These people who are still left standing, but are now in severe distress. Okay, so open up the malls. That's what we're saying, and open up the shops. And that's what we're saying, and it will save a great deal of mental distress, and it will save the livelihoods of so many other people. Save lives and save livelihoods together. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dato. In every mall, we should have playland and playground, children play areas, and family entertainment centers. And I now invite Tan Sri Dato Richard Koh, President of the Malaysian Association for Theme Parks and Family Attractions, to explain to us the need for reopening as soon as possible. Thank you. Tan Sri, Richard.
Thank you, and colleague, everyone here for spending your time with us. I totally concur with all the colleagues and what we've been saying. As tourism been one of the hardest hit, but yet adding salt to the worm, we are classified as negative list, which in fact tourism like theme park, FEC, playland, spa, wellness, and shopping provide positive impact to release your stress, and we provide happy family fun, relieve your stress, help you to distress. As the saying goes now, visiting the shopping mall, theme park, FEC, spa is a fantastic way to release and distress, to promote better sleep and better health, and also increase happiness, especially during this pandemic time. You know, everybody is stressed out with no money and no business. So I sincerely appeal to the authority to allow theme park, FEC, spa, wellness to be open together with the shopping mall as part and parcel of the reopening of businesses. So I hope this time, because all the time everything is open, theme park and FEC and the other like cinema and spa are not allowed to open. They say it's negative, but in fact it is positive. People need it. We people really need to distress, especially family. All day at home. We need to go to the spa and have a body rub and distress. So I think I really appeal to the authority to say, please, let us open together as part and parcel of the tourism product of shopping together with family and reopening the industry. Thank you so much for the opportunity for the Malaysian theme park and attraction to voice our argument, because we have no business at all. We are the worst hit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Okay, I guess I'll open the floor now to Q&A from the press members. If there are any points to clarify or points to repeat, thank you. Anybody got any questions?
You might have been muted. Please unmute yourself and, if possible, open on your camera and speak. Anything from the floor? We will send a copy of the press statement after this to those who have registered in the link. You will see the link which is already in the chat group.
Okay. Anybody got any question from the press? Any questions?
Sean, I see Sean from FMT.
Yeah. Hi, I have a question, one for Tan Sri and one for Miss Shirley. Sorry, for Tan Sri Teo. Because I had problems logging to the press conference earlier, I was just wondering if anyone mentioned about the total number of losses incurred in the retail society, you know, in general.
Okay. Shirley, do you have any figures from MRCA?
Hi, Sean. Thank you for your question. But if you're talking about in totality, in terms of retail, it is not easy for us to give you like an accurate figure. Because if you're talking about retail, there are lots of people in retail. Mama Papa shops are also operating retail. You know, the street sites, you know, those bazaar operators are also in retail. So I'm afraid that in totality, you know, we don't have the figure. I don't believe anyone would have an accurate figure unless, you know, they go around asking everybody to respond. Yeah, Sean.
Okay, sorry, I have a second question for you, Ms. Shirley. You mentioned about a survey by MRCA. Could you just give us some details when the survey was conducted and how many respondents were there?
Okay, the survey was only conducted last month. It was in June. And the reason why we conducted the survey was basically because of a calling from the several dialogues that we have had with the, you know, with the ministries, and then they were asking us like, if you say the situation is bad and how bad. So among our members, about 30% responded. So I would say that you know, in a survey as such, if you get about 30% to respond, to me is fairly good. You know what I mean?
Okay. And how many is 30%? Like how many?
About 100.
About 100. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Sean, if I can, Sean, sorry if I can reply for this. Actually, if you want the number, if you can just send me a message, because we know from statistics that retail sales have gone down by how many percent? Last I recall it was minus 17.7%. So with that, and we know the total number of retail sales. So if you can compute vice versa, we should be able to give you the number.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
PM me directly. You have my number probably, and I'll try to get you the data.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions?
Please raise your hand so we can invite you to speak. Anyone else, ladies and gentlemen? Quite a few of you here. Or have we addressed all your queries?
I think Nancy has articulated the whole story so clearly that there's no question.
Yeah, I reckon.
Well, if there are no other questions, I would like to say that we are very hopeful that by July the 15th or earlier, we will have reached that 10% vaccination threshold, and that going forward, all our operations can reopen. Basically, also to underscore this is that 0.8% infection from this industry deserve to be recognized and not to be penalized. And that's if we don't open in time, the economic damage will be so much bigger. Many of our retailers will go out of business. Many of shopping malls will close for good. And if there are too many shops that close within a mall, the ecosystem for the mall will not survive either. And it will take a very difficult, long journey to rebuild it. But so looking at the wider side, I'm also a bit worried that if we have more and more people unemployed, the security of our country will be at risk. And you got no food on the table, people become desperate, nothing to lose. There'll be more burglary, more thievery or something like that. And the biggest fear I have is it may lead to social unrest. That's the biggest fear. Now people putting out white flag already. It's causing a lot of notice by the government, and we don't want any more suicides and any more social social unrest. So we are hoping that we are trying to put across a case that shopping malls, the retail industry, the shopping areas, the shop houses are not contributors to these clusters. We deserve to be open. We do not need to be closed and to be to hurt this particular section of the economy. And we are a big economy. We are 45%, 35% of the GDP. So we are not. It's unnecessary to lock us down or close us down. We can, if you let us reopen soon, we got at least a fighting chance to recover and contribute back to the nation. That's our important part. Yes, Dato' Amir.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one last point. That many of us actually fail to understand, as the press is listening to our argument, we do not have the opportunity to understand why 4 main ministries, why don't they call this group, just this small group, for stakeholders consultation? We only need MKN, MITI, KPDN, HEP, and MOT to really understand. Maybe we don't understand their numbers, how they are rationalizing. I'm sure there are smart people there. They have the country's heart and Malaysia's heart at stake. So they might be coming up with reasons or solutions without consulting us. We need their buy-in, and I think they need our buy-in. I'm very sure if they can convince us that retail is the cause of the COVID-19 clusters, please shut down, we all will agree to shut down. I mean, we are reasonable people. We have our parents, we have children, we have wives, sorry, I didn't want to say wives, but we have wives and, families, which it is also, very important because we know during this COVID, many of us have lost friends. I've lost staff, I've lost cousins, I've lost aunties, and I think each one of you has got someone you have lost. So we are actually very reasonable people. And I think maybe we don't understand their rationale, why they're doing this to us. Like a parent scolding a child, but not explaining to the child why he's being scolded. So if you can call us for a consultation, unfortunately, we do get a chance to speak to one minister there, one minister there, but I don't think we have been called by MKN, which is the overarching ministry which makes the decision. Of course, KPN HP, we had a very good consultation with the minister just 2-3 days ago. But of course, we also know that his hands will be tied when there's so many people out there. So what we want, seriously, if the press can highlight it to the government, is this group of people are asking these 4 ministries to call us for a consultation before making the final decision. Why are you so scared to call us before you decide for the next lockdown or the next SOPs? We are together in the same storm, but we are in the same, we of course, obviously, are in a different boat, right? But we're all in the same storm. So let's meet together, and I'm sure we are reasonable people, and I'm sure that they also are very reasonable people. Many of them are our friends, actually, but we can understand this. Thank you very much, Tan Sri. My last appeal. my last emotional appeal to the world before we die off. You know, like a dying man's statement before his last statement before he goes to the grave, you know, or going for a bypass surgery. He makes the statement, he said, in case I'm gone, this is my statement.
Okay. Thank you. With that, I will conclude the press conference, and thank you very much for attending.
There is somebody has put the hand up. I think.
Oh, sure.
Somebody's put the hand up, yeah.
Good, Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I just want to confirm. MKN has never approached any of the retail groups prior to this? Take that as a no.
Okay,
I'd like to
before
say
you,
categorically, Sean, that MKN has not officially approached the group. Of course, I have met the DG, but that's more on a personal trying to voice. I think we need it as an association or 5 presidents, 6 presidents can face the review better.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, thank you so much. And we are really hoping that the press will help us explain our predicament, our position, especially the fact that we do not deserve to be treated this way. We hope that a review can be done quickly so that we can all reopen and we try and recover with the opportunity to recover. Otherwise, if the patient gets more sick, there's no chance of recovery. That's the important message. So, with that, we hope the press will give us the exposure and explanation so that we can really get this message across to the decision makers. With that, thank you so much.
yeah, before you all go, if you do not mind, can we take a group photograph, especially our 6 chairman and presidents? Dato' Hisham?
Everybody put on their...
Tansri, cannot see your eyes. Tansri, Richard, cannot see your eyes.
We need to put up a sad crying face.
Okay, anyone else want to put on the cameras?
That's why I'm wearing black today.
Both Tansri, Oh, Shirley too black. All right. I think you must agree next time all of us wear black and come for a press conference.
Yeah.
That's good. Anyone else to put on the cameras? I don't see Dato' Hisham.
Oh, you can't see me?
No, not on my screen. I hope my staff will have captured you.
Can you other guys see me?
Yes.
Can see everyone.
Can see.
What do I need to do?
It's okay. We saw you already.
Okay. I think you've taken the photo already. Thank you.
Yeah, taken the photo. Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
If you have any more queries, you have my number, which is in the press invite. Otherwise, after this, I'll send to all of you who have registered a copy of the press statement.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good job.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Great weekend.
Well done. Thank you.
Survive the weekend again.
Thank you. See ya.